Harlem streets are talking, and the tension has reached an all-time high. 50 Cent and Uncle Murda have stepped into the spotlight together. And this time, it's bigger than music, it's personal. Fans thought they'd seen every Harlem beef, every clash, every shocking move. But what just went down is unlike anything before. Sources say that behind the cameras, things have been boiling for weeks. Jim Jones and Maino were quietly plotting, thinking their moves wouldn't be noticed. But 50 Cent isn't the type to let disrespect slide, and Uncle Murda backing him up has turned this clash into a full-blown spectacle. Streets are reacting. Social media is exploding. And everyone's waiting to see who's going to make the next move. Every glance, every subtle comment, every leaked clip has fans dissecting it like a chess game. And make no mistake, this isn't just a casual feud. This is about respect, legacy, and claiming the crown in Harlem. And when two giants collide, chaos isn't a possibility, it's guaranteed. Fans are asking the questions that no one seems ready to answer. What exactly did Jim Jones and Maino do? How far will 50 Cent and Uncle Murda go? Most importantly, who will come out standing while the other falls? The streets are talking, insiders are whispering, and the energy is about to reach a boiling point. Buckle up, because this story is just beginning, and once you see the truth behind this Harlem showdown, you'll understand why no one can take their eyes off it. After 50 Cent and Uncle Murda made their shocking move, the Harlem streets were buzzing like never before. Social media exploded with fans replaying clips, dissecting every comment, and sharing every subtle hint. But for those close to the situation, this wasn't just about likes or shares. It was about real respect, power, and long-standing grudges. Finally coming to the surface, sources tell us that tension had been quietly building for weeks before this public blow-up. Jim Jones and Maino, longtime fixtures in Harlem's rap scene, allegedly made moves that didn't sit well with either 50 Cent or Uncle Murda. Some say it started with small slights, ignored calls, cryptic social media posts, subtle disses in lyrics. At first, most fans missed it. But for insiders, every move was a signal. A warning that things were about to escalate when two heavyweights like 50 Cent and Uncle Murda are involved. Nothing stays quiet for long. According to sources, the planning behind this exposure wasn't impulsive, it was strategic. Every post, every leak, every statement was calculated to maximize pressure and make a point. 50 Cent has always been known for his business acumen and street awareness. And pairing with Uncle Murda added a layer of Harlem credibility that couldn't be ignored. Fans noticed the shift almost immediately. Jim Jones and Maino, who once moved with confidence and influence, suddenly seemed guarded. Social media became a minefield of speculation. Every lyric, every appearance, every handshake was analyzed as a possible hint toward the larger conflict. This was more than a rap. It was a power play unfolding in real time. Reports suggest the situation escalated at local Harlem events, where all parties were in close proximity but deliberately avoided direct confrontation. Sources indicate that there were behind-the-scenes meetings, heated discussions with managers, and even studio interruptions designed to assert dominance. Each subtle move sent a message. We see you. We know what you're doing, and this won't go unanswered. Meanwhile, fans online were connecting dots from past incidents. Old interviews resurfaced. Past collaborations that had gone sour were examined with new scrutiny. The community began to sense a pattern. 50 Cent and Uncle Murda were not just responding, they were exposing deeper layers of betrayal, disrespect, and failed loyalty. The atmosphere in Harlem became tense. Street chatter indicated people were divided, some supporting 50 Cent's stance, others holding loyalty to Jim Jones or Maino. This polarization only fueled the drama. Allegiances were questioned, and anyone associated with either side felt the pressure to take a position. Behind the scenes, the feud wasn't just personal, it was financial and reputational. Music deals, features, and collaborations that once seemed inevitable started being reconsidered. Producers, managers, and even collaborators began navigating carefully, knowing that aligning with the wrong side could cost credibility, opportunities, and street respect. Social media also played a massive role. Fans dissected snippets of conversations, Instagram posts, and subtle hints in music videos. Every cryptic caption or social media story became fodder for speculation. The community became detectives, trying to piece together the true sequence of events that led to the explosive. Harlem Showdown. Reports from insiders indicate that 50 Cent and Uncle Murda coordinated their exposure to maximize impact. The timing wasn't random. Clips were strategically leaked to media outlets and street channels, ensuring maximum buzz and forcing Jim Jones and Maino to respond under public scrutiny. This wasn't just a feud, it was a calculated takeover of the narrative. Some observers note that this feud also highlights generational shifts in Harlem rap. 50 Cent representing a veteran presence with both business and street respect, and Uncle Murda, bringing local credibility and connections, confronted Jim Jones and Maino, who have historically commanded influence but are now facing challenges. To their authority, the clash represents more than personal beef. It reflects changing power dynamics in Harlem's rap scene. Even during interviews and media appearances, both sides were careful not to overplay their hand. 50 Cent, known for his calculated responses, chose moments and words strategically, while Uncle Murda reinforced his stance, providing legitimacy and reinforcement to 50 Cent's exposure of the situation. For fans, the drama isn't just about who said what, it's about understanding the layers of loyalty, respect, and influence that make Harlem's rap scene both fascinating and volatile. Every reaction, every denial, every subtle shot in lyrics contributes to a narrative that's unfolding live, street by street, post by post. One thing is clear: the Harlem beef is no longer a private issue between a few artists. It has escalated into a full-blown public spectacle, with 50 Cent and Uncle Murda taking the lead, Jim Jones and Maino on the defensive, and the streets watching, reacting, and predicting what will happen next. And the most critical question remains: how far will this go, and who will come out on top when Harlem's eyes are watching every move? As the Harlem streets continue to buzz, the fallout from 50 Cent and Uncle Murda's exposure became impossible to ignore. What started as subtle digs and cryptic messages had now turned into a full-blown war of influence and respect. Insiders reveal that the atmosphere backstage was thick with tension. Managers were juggling loyalties, producers were carefully choosing collaborations, and even mutual associates began to pick sides. In Harlem, alliances matter, and once a line is crossed, everyone feels the ripple effect. For Jim Jones and Maino, the situation was quickly becoming a public relations nightmare. Their every move was scrutinized, every appearance dissected, and every comment interpreted as either a defense or an admission. Streets and social media became intertwined, with fans and local insiders connecting dots from past incidents to anticipate the next move. Every lyric, every caption, and every public interaction was being analyzed in real time. Sources say that behind closed doors, tempers flared. Heated discussions between management teams, interrupted studio sessions, and even street confrontations signaled that this was no longer just about music. It was about street credibility and influence, a currency as powerful as record sales in Harlem. Meanwhile, 50 Cent and Uncle Murda were carefully coordinating their moves. The timing of the leaks, the selection of clips, and the strategic public statements all pointed to a calculated plan to dominate the narrative. They weren't reacting impulsively, they were controlling the story. And Harlem, known for its deep respect for legacy and loyalty, noticed immediately. Fans online were dissecting every angle. Old interviews resurfaced, past collaborations were re-examined, and every cryptic social media post became a piece of a larger puzzle. Comment sections were flooded with speculation. Who started this? Was it personal? Was it business? Or was it something far deeper, tied to respect, dominance, and reputation? On the streets, the tension was tangible. Local events saw increased attention, with fans and insiders closely watching for any sign of confrontation. While no physical altercations occurred publicly, reports indicate that both camps were in constant communication with their teams, ensuring that no perceived slight went unanswered. Even subtle gestures, who showed up where, who avoided whom, were interpreted as moves on a chessboard. The media also played a critical role. Urban news outlets and rap-focused platforms amplified every interaction, every statement, every leaked clip. The coverage fueled speculation and heightened the pressure on both sides. For Jim Jones and Maino, this meant that damage control was no longer just about the streets, which was about public perception. Industry insiders note that this phase of the feud was particularly dangerous because it combined street respect with public narrative control. In Harlem, your image on the streets and your image online must align. Any misstep can weaken influence, and both camps knew this. 50 Cent's history of strategic moves and Uncle Murda's Harlem credibility gave them an advantage that was hard for Jim Jones and Maino to counter. Sources claim that Jim Jones attempted subtle countermoves, carefully worded posts, interviews that emphasized loyalty, and attempts to remind fans of past collaborations were all strategic. But for many observers, these moves came too late. The perception was already set, and in Harlem, perception is reality. Meanwhile, reports suggest that tensions started to affect potential collaborations with other artists. Producers and collaborators began weighing the risk of associating with either side. Knowing that the feud could influence street credibility and social media perception, deals once considered safe suddenly required careful navigation, and some opportunities were quietly shelved. Fans also became active participants. Analysis videos, breakdowns of Instagram captions, and street rumors created a feedback loop that kept the story alive and constantly evolving. Every minor event became a talking point, every lyric a potential weapon. This wasn't just entertainment. This was culture in motion. With Harlem at its epicenter, the feud also highlighted generational shifts in the Harlem scene. 50 Cent, representing seasoned influence with both business acumen and street respect, combined forces with Uncle Murda, whose local credibility reinforced the exposure. On the other side, Jim Jones and Maino represented a legacy that was being challenged. This collision of old and new, strategy and street, power and perception, added layers of complexity to the feud. It's clear that this is no longer a reactionary battle, it's a strategic escalation. Every statement, every post, every leak has been calculated to force a response and assert dominance. The Harlem streets aren't just spectators, they're participants, observing, judging, and reacting. The most critical moments came during key Harlem appearances where both camps were present. Even without direct confrontation, the tension was palpable. Insiders say that subtle gestures, who arrived first, who made eye contact, who avoided whom, sent signals to everyone watching. It became clear that this feud was about control of perception, not just lyrical skill. And as the night unfolded, fans began realizing that this was far bigger than any one incident. The feud had created a ripple effect across the Harlem scene, influencing alliances, collaborations, and street respect. Everyone knew that one wrong move could tip the balance, and in Harlem, the consequences of losing respect are immediate and public. By the end of this phase, the landscape had changed. 50 Cent and Uncle Murda's coordinated exposure had put Jim Jones and Maino on the defensive, while street and social media conversations reinforced the narrative. The Harlem feud had escalated from subtle slights to full-blown public scrutiny, and no one could predict how it would resolve. One thing is certain: the Harlem streets are watching. Alliances are being tested, and every move matters. What seemed like a simple beef has now become a complex battle of strategy, influence, and respect, and the question remains who will emerge on top and who will be left scrambling for credibility. By the time the fallout from 50 Cent and Uncle Murda's exposure hit the streets, Harlem was buzzing like never before. What started as a controlled strike to expose disrespect had transformed into a full-blown spectacle that no one could ignore. Insiders report that the tension wasn't just between the artists, it had spread to crews, collaborators, and even fans. Every move was being scrutinized, and the narrative was no longer controllable. Sources say that after the initial exposure, Jim Jones and Maino were forced into constant damage control. They made appearances, gave interviews, and released posts in an attempt to assert their influence, but the momentum had already shifted. 50 Cent and Uncle Murda had not just made their move, they had shifted public perception. In Harlem, perception isn't just powerful, it's everything. The streets began reacting immediately. Social media exploded with discussions, debates, and heated takes. Clips of past interactions were replayed endlessly. Lyrics were analyzed for hidden meanings, and fans became detectives, piecing together what led to this unprecedented showdown. Every subtle gesture was dissected, every statement questioned. It wasn't just entertainment, it was Harlem culture reacting in real time. Insiders revealed that the tension reached its peak during several high-profile appearances were present in overlapping spaces, clubs, studios, and events without direct confrontation, but with calculated interactions. Who sat where, who looked at whom, and even who entered or exited first became statements of dominance. In Harlem, body language often speaks louder than words, and everyone watching knew exactly what was happening. Meanwhile, business implications were unavoidable. Deals, collaborations, and studio sessions began being reconsidered. Producers and artists were weighing risks of associating with either side, knowing that alignment could shift public favor or affect street credibility. Opportunities that were once assumed safe were quietly postponed or canceled. The feud had transcended personal beef, it had begun to influence careers, despite the pressure. 50 Cent and Uncle Murda remained calculated. There were no public outbursts, no hasty disses, just controlled strategic moves that reinforced their dominance. Every clip, every post, every word in interviews was timed to maximize impact and force a reaction. According to sources, this was as much about street respect as it was about controlling the Harlem narrative. Fans noticed subtle shifts in Jim Jones and Maino's behavior. Posts that were once confident became defensive. Interviews that previously projected dominance were now filled with cautious language. Even casual appearances were strategic, designed to protect credibility, but unable to fully counter the momentum set by 50 Cent and Uncle Murda. By this point, the feud was no longer just about personal grievances. It has become a study in influence, power, and perception. Every move had consequences, and the ripple effect extended beyond the primary artists. Loyalists, collaborators, and even casual observers were forced to take sides or risk losing credibility themselves. The streets, social media, and even traditional media outlets fed into the cycle, amplifying tension at every turn. Sources indicate that some local crews were already feeling the pressure. Alliances were being tested, loyalty questioned, and some partnerships quietly severed. Harlem was watching, and those who failed to navigate the feud wisely risked being caught in the crossfire. This wasn't just a feud, it was a street chess game. And everyone in the scene was a potential pawn or player. The public response was just as intense. Fans flooded comment sections, debated online, and created content dissecting every clip. Rumors and theories spread rapidly, each one adding fuel to the fire. The combination of social media amplification and street tension ensured that this feud remained at the center of Harlem culture, dominating conversations across platforms. What's critical is that this phase highlighted the strategic intelligence of 50 Cent and Uncle Murda by controlling the narrative, timing their releases, and leveraging social media. They effectively forced Jim Jones and Maino onto the defensive. In Harlem and in hip-hop generally, narrative control is power. And once power shifts, it's extremely difficult to regain. Meanwhile, the stakes continued to escalate. Sources report that meetings behind the scenes were tense, with legal teams, managers, and collaborators all involved. Everyone wanted to ensure their side maintained credibility while mitigating risk. Studio sessions became battlegrounds, with every interaction under scrutiny. Even casual conversations could be misinterpreted as alignment or betrayal, and yet the feud wasn't over. Insiders hint at ongoing tension that could surface in future releases, collaborations, or public appearances. Harlem remains on high alert, waiting for the next move. The feud has become an evolving story, not a one-time event with implications for everyone involved. By now, the city, the streets, and fans alike understood one thing: the fallout was far-reaching. 50 Cent and Uncle Murda's coordinated exposure had changed the dynamic entirely. Jim Jones and Maino, while still influential, were forced to reconsider strategy, rebuild credibility, navigate a landscape controlled by their challengers. It's clear that this Harlem showdown represents more than a simple feud. It's a story of power, perception, and survival. The streets have witnessed a calculated escalation. Fans have observed the drama unfold in real time. And everyone knows that the next moves could redefine Harlem's rap hierarchy. The Harlem streets have never been this tense, and what you just saw is only the beginning. 50 Cent and Uncle Murda made their moves, and the fallout is still shaking the city. This isn't just another rap feud, it's a lesson in power, strategy, and respect, and the fans are watching every move. Now it's your turn to be part of the story. Hit that like button if you're here for the real Harlem drama. Every like tells us you're engaged, paying attention, and part of this conversation that goes beyond music. It's culture, influence, and street credibility all rolled into one. Next, don't miss a single development. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Why? Because this saga is far from over. 50 Cent, Uncle Murda, Jim Jones, and Maino are all masters at controlling the narrative, and any twist, leak, or public reaction could drop at any moment. By subscribing, you make sure you're first to know, first to react, and first to share your take with the Harlem rap community. Finally, we need your voice. Comment below and tell us, who do you think will emerge on top in this Harlem showdown?